Hello, my dear students and the rest of the learners. Welcome to part 9 of an 18-part series of tutorials on applying spreadsheet using Microsoft Excel. In this tutorial, I'm going to look at the basic formulas. My name is MemJM, or you can simply call me Emily Swap. Basic formulas. Formulas are used to perform calculations using data contained in the cells and to display the results. They include cell addresses that reference cells to be computerized. Some of the features of a formula are, number one, it's entered in the cell in which the result is to be displayed. Number two, it begins with an equal sign, just as we saw for the functions. Number three, it includes arguments, that is, cell references, text, or numbers. Number four, it excludes operators, or it includes operators, that is, mathematical symbols that are used to perform certain tasks. For example, addition, multiplication, division, subtraction, amongst others. After a formula has been confirmed in a cell by pressing the Enter key, the result will be displayed in that cell while the expression will be displayed in the formula. The functions are used to perform the more complex calculations because they are easier and faster methods of performing computations. Creating appropriate formulas require an understanding of the rules of precedence. Precedence is the order in which various operators are executed in an expression that is composed of more than one operator. An expression, on the other hand, is a formula, or an expression in a formula follows the same order of precedence as for normal arithmetic. That is, body mass. Body mass stands for bracket of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. The following is usually the order of execution of operators in Microsoft Excel and the results that they would generate if used in a worksheet, whereby cell A1 would contain 15, cell A2 containing 30, and cell A3 containing 15. My dear students and the rest of the learners, I would like you to note these values in cell A1, A2, and A3 so that you can be able to see how body mass works in the following examples. So operators name, a precedence, formula, and the result. The first one is the parentheses. They are also called brackets. Whenever a bracket appears in an equation, it is usually given the first precedence. An example of such a formula is equals to, opening parentheses, A1 plus A2. You close the parentheses. Whatever you get to subtract, A3. So in this case, you get 30. The second operator in the order of precedence, that is precedence number 2, is the negation, whose sign looks as follows, or as you can see. For example, -1. So if you have a formula, like for example, equals to -A1 plus A3, it will be -15 plus 15, and that will give us 0. The third operator in the order of precedence is the percent. It is usually order number 3. An example of such a formula is equals to A1 plus A2 plus A3, and whatever you get its percentage. So in this case, you get 60%. The fourth operator is the exponentiation, which is written, as you can see. Sometimes it is called the caret or the carat. It is under precedence number 4, and an example of such a formula will be equals to A1 raised to 3 or raised to power 3. And that gives that 375. The fifth operator is the multiplication, and it's normally followed by the division sign. It is the 2 are given under precedence number 5, and an example of such a formula is equals to A1 times A2 divided by A3. That would give 30. The sixth operator in the order of precedence is the addition and the subtraction. The 2 are normally given precedence number 6. And an example of such a formula is equals to A1 plus A2 minus A3, and that would give us 30. Then we have equal to or equals, equal to, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, having the same precedence. And they are called relational operators. They're usually given precedence number 7. An example of such a formula is equals to A1 raised to, not raised to, but equals to A1 greater than A2. So is A1 greater than A2? If yes, then we write it true, but now it is evaluating to false. In order to enter a formula, just as we entered the functions in the previous tutorial, number 1, you select the cell where you want to place the formula. Number 2, you type the equal sign onto the cell to begin the formula. Number 3, you enter the appropriate arguments and the relevant operators in the formula. To enter a cell address, you can either type the address or click on the specific cell or range, just as I demonstrated in the tutorial on the basic functions. Number 4, press enter to calculate the result when you finish typing. The following is a sample demonstration on how to enter some formulas in a worksheet from a workbook called Emily Swap College Term 2 Results. So with this one being our workbook, we can use some formulas here. For example, I can calculate or compute units or class miniscore. How do we do it? I'll write equals to, then cell, that's I'll have opening parentheses, then I have cell D4, D4 plus D5 plus D6 plus D7 plus D8 plus D9 plus D10 plus D11 plus D12 plus D13 plus D14. And then I close the bracket. Now that will give us a sum, but to get average, you divide by, so I will divide that by how many values? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Those are 11 students. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So divide by 11. Then I press enter key. So my dear students and the rest of the learners, you can see how we have been able to compute the average using the formula. And we would have gotten this very fast if we wanted to make use of a function. That would be equals to average of what? Cell D4 to full colon to D14. And then we would have pressed enter. You can see the value that you get using the formula and the one that would have gotten using the function is the same. So I can autofill this formula by clicking on the cell that contains the formula that I want to copy to other cells. Then I point on the handle for the cell selector. I press down my mouse button and drag that way. What about if I move beyond there? You can see I have been able to get the average using the formula, as you can see. And you can see typing a formula is hectic than making use of a function. Let's also use another function or another formula to compute average. So I can click on average here, where I used this function average and replace a few of them with a formula, just as we have done for this, for the miniscore here. But without or instead of changing that, let me work on this sum. So to compute the sum, I can click on cell I4 and type equals to, then equals to what? I press down my shift key, then I click on cell D4 plus cell D5 plus, I'm just clicking on the cell. So I will click on F4, then plus, I click on G4, then I press enter. So you can see this is a formula, but this was a function. This here was a function, but this one is a formula. And you can autofill the formula to several cells. Check the average, where the average will remain the same. You see, the average has remained the same. So that's how we make use of formulas. That's how we make use of formulas in our worksheets or workbook. If you find out that you have written a formula in a wrong way, you can edit it. So to edit a formula, you select the cell that contains the formula that you want to edit. Then you click the formula bar to place the insertion point in the formula. Number 3, you type the additional characters or delete the unnecessary elements. And number 4, you press enter to accept the change. So some examples of formulas are equals to B1 and space and C1. What does that do? It joins the first and the last names. So the first name is the name in cell B1. So that name is joined to the second name, which is in cell C1. For example, Kamau in cell B4, not B4, but B1, and Julius in cell. Anyway, let me rephrase this. If, for example, you have cell B4, then the joining operator, and C4, then if Kamau was in B4 and Julius was in C4, with that operator, the two names would appear in cell P4 as Mem Julius. If you have a statement like this one here, this is also another formula. What does it do? It joins a date with the text. For example, equals to salary increment on that. And then we have our operator there, text, bracket F5, comma, then the month format. So such a formula will return salary increment on January 2000. If you have a formula like this one, it will increase a number by a percentage, by 5%. For example, if value 15 is in cell A3, to enter its increment by 5% in cell C3, you would enter the formula equals to A3 multiplied by opening parenthesis 1 plus 5% closing parenthesis, which will return 15.75. If you have another formula like equals to A3 times opening parenthesis 1 plus $G, $2, it will increase a number by percentage stored in a certain cell. For example, if you want to increase the value 15 entered in cell C3 by a value of 15, that is 15% entered in cell G2, and display the results in cell C4, you will enter the formula equals to A3 times opening parenthesis 1 plus $G, $2 to close the brackets or the parenthesis in cell C4, and such will return 240. So the following is a sample demonstration on how to edit some formulas in a worksheet from a workbook called MLSWAP College Term 2 Results. So if, for example, we wanted to make some changes in our data in this worksheet, for example, if we find out that we made an error here by rounding our values or our values to a whole number without the decimal point, and you want to reintroduce a decimal point, then what you do is you click on the cell that contains the formula. And then on the formula bar, you click on that formula or that function and make a change. For example, I can have 1 here, and then you press enter. From there, you autofill. That's it. What about if I had used a formula and I made an error? For example, if I used a formula here, you can see this is a formula. So if, for example, I made an error, if I had, for example, written divided by 10, and then I got such a figure, and then maybe I dragged it like that, and therefore the value which I have are wrong because the number of cells are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Then what I need to do is click on the cell that contains the wrong formula. Like this one, it contains a wrong formula. And then you click on that formula from the formula bar, and then you make the corrections where necessary. For example, I can put a 0 here, I write 1. And then I will press enter. So you can see that editing is well done under the formula bar. And the formula bar, in this case, it is this bar here. This is what we are calling the formula bar, and it is identified. It is usually identified with the fx here. So generally, that's how you edit any formulas. If you have any formula that you want to edit, you edit it as you have seen. When you are making use of formulas, And even sometimes functions, some errors may occur. So some errors that can occur when a formula cannot resolve to a value or an answer include, so these are some of the errors that you are bound to find in your document or in your spreadsheet in the case there is an error in your formula. So if you come across this kind of an error, hash div 1/0 exclamation mark, what that means is that the formula is attempting to divide by 0. So you are trying to divide a number with nothing. And the solution is check the values of the cell in the formula. Another error is this one, where you find those symbols displayed on your screen. The column, or this means that the column is not wide enough to display the value. So what you do is you adjust the column width. So this symbol, this error simply means that the number is large than can be displayed. And therefore, for you to eliminate this kind of an error, you have to adjust your column. You may also have such an error, hash name with a question mark. It means that Excel does not recognize text in a formula. So the solution is check the spellings of your function or check that a name exists. If you have this kind of an error, it simply means that the formula is referring to an invalid range. The solution to this kind of a problem is to check to see if you enter the cell range or range references correctly. You use commas between function arguments and not spaces. If you get this kind of an error, it simply means that the formula refers to a cell that contains no value or an hash no, not applicable entry. This error value warns you that not all the data referenced by a formula is available. So the solution is ensure that the cells referenced contains data. Another error is this type of an error. It indicates that there is a problem with a number used in the formula. And the solution to this kind of an error is to check for the correct use of function arguments. Another error that you may find in your worksheet is this one. It simply means that a cell reference in the formula is incorrect. And the solution to that is check for changes to cell reference that is caused or has been caused by deleting cells, rows, or columns referenced by the formula. Another error is this one. It simply means that the formula contains the wrong type of argument or operator. And the solution to that is check for the correct syntax of the formula. Another error is circular. It indicates that the formula is referenced or the formula is referencing itself. The solution is to ensure that the cell reference containing the formula is also part of the formula. And with that, my dear students and the rest of the learners, we have come to the end of part 9. You can continue to listen to the next tutorial, which is part 10 on worksheet formatting. Congratulations for learning part 9 of 18 on basic formulas. You can access other parts in Applying Spreadsheet series, as well as other computer or ICT videos by clicking or tapping on Emerisop ICT YouTube channel below this video. To subscribe to the channel, tap on subscribe button below this video in YouTube if it's not currently reading as subscribed. For any further correspondence, kindly write it to us through the email emerisop@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to me. Let's meet in part 10 of the series, and God bless.